Today I'll be walking through the Pacific Life e-tickets now available on the mobile app and the Agency Life Quoter. This ticket is available for agents to use for both term and GUL and is a fast, efficient method for submitting directly to the carrier. With this integration, the e-ticket is submitted directly to Pacific Life and processed by their team. I'll start off this demonstration by showing the ticket process in the mobile app. This is our demo app, but the process would be the same in your brokerage mobile app. I'll start with the Needs Analysis tool. In this tool, you can enter some financial information about the client to calculate the appropriate face amount for their needs. This will load the face amount into the Life Quotes tool. Once in the Life Quotes tool, I can enter the rest of the quote criteria for the client. I have the option to choose multiple health categories and products to compare, but in this case, just for the sake of example, I'll run a 20-year term. Again, this ticket is available for Pacific Life term as well as GUL products quoted on our platform. After a moment, I'll see the quote results. From here, I can choose products to compare and share that information. I can also filter down the results to just those with an online submission process from this filtering section. You see we have a couple other carriers with e-tickets, but in this example, I will choose Pacific Life. Choose Get Started on this screen, and you see here the e-ticket is one of the options for next steps. I'll select this and then I'll be in the e-ticket process. The flow of the e-ticket will be exactly the same whether you're using it from your mobile app or our web tool, the Agency Life Quoter, which I'll show you a little later. The ticket starts with some important information to keep in mind provided by Pacific Life. This is letting you know that by choosing this e-ticket process, you are aware that this is a simplified application process and that the client interview and all required forms will be completed by the Pacific Life Fulfillment Center. Next, you'll see where you start entering the information about the proposed insured. Some of this information will pre-fill from the quote, and you can see I can look at the quote at any point in this process. Once you start entering the information, it'll be saved for reference in our system. But note that if you close out and do not complete the e-ticket, you will need to start the process over. I also want to point out here that the Social Security number is not saved in our system, but will be sent to Pacific Life. I'll go ahead and quickly fill out some information here. You can see the questions are responsive according to how I've answered previous questions. Then you'll see there are a few yes or no questions about owners, beneficiaries, etc. Depending on how these questions are answered, the e-ticket will add the needed questions to the form to account for those answers. You'll see here that in the upper right corner we're on step 2 of 8, but if I answer yes to if there's a contingent beneficiary, it will add an additional step to answer for those contingent beneficiaries. So the number of steps will be flexible depending, with as few as 7 steps or as many as 17 steps. Additional steps can include owner information, contingent owner information, payer info if not the proposed insured, contingent beneficiaries, previous lab work, TIAA information, existing insurance, and so on. There are also some state-specific requirements that will be added to the steps depending on what state you selected for your quote criteria. I'll quickly run through some of the other pages. In this case, I selected that the proposed insured will not be the owner of the policy, so it asks for owner information. I can add multiple owners if needed, and you can see the questions adjust depending on the owner type I choose. After that, it asks regarding billing, and you can see the premium is based on the quote. Similar to owner, I can add multiple beneficiaries and adjust the fields depending on the beneficiary type. Here we have the purpose of insurance page, which will always be required. Here on the next page, you'll also be asked for the delivery method with additional information for e-delivery depending on what fields you entered previously. Finishing up here, you will see the producer report where the agent will enter their information. Since they are logged into the mobile app, this will pre-fill some of their information based on the IXN account information. I do want to point out here that the producer code is a required field. This will be how Pacific Life associates the submission with the correct agent and agency. Pacific Life does have some mechanics in place to account for incorrect producer codes or agents that are not contracted yet, but we recommend that you contact your brokerage to make sure you have the correct producer code if you would like to use this e-ticket option. The last page of the ticket is the producer attestation. Be sure to agree to the terms here and then the ticket is ready to submit. At this point, the e-ticket is complete and submitted to Pacific Life. That's all you have to do. You will see a page with the actual policy number for this application. You can use this policy number to track the ticket with Pacific Life. This process is exactly the same on the Agency Life Quoter. I would go to the quote engine and enter my quote criteria same as the mobile app. And here you notice I can enter some information about the proposed insured that will pre-fill into the e-ticket. I'll enter some basic information here and then run a quote. Once in the quote results, I can compare quote and filter my results like you saw in the mobile app. If I hover over Pacific Life, you see the Get Started option appear. I'll go ahead and select that. Then I have all my quote actions to choose from. I'll choose the e-ticket option for Pacific Life, and you see I can run the exact same process that you saw before. It will pre-fill relevant information from the quote criteria and quote, and all of the questions are responsive to ensure that you are entering the needed information for your policy. We're excited to be able to offer these e-ticket solutions for your brokerage and agents. Using this process is one of the fastest and easiest ways to submit to Pacific Life. If you would like to enable this ticket on your Agency Life Quoter or mobile app, feel free to contact our support team and we'd be happy to help you get started.